Hey guys, just a little bit of preamble here for the actual review of the Planet X Grimlock. Um, this figure has been plagued with problems from the get-go. Not mine necessarily in particular, or mine is so far before I've done the actual review, managed to survive, whereas many others have not. If you have problems, I would suggest reaching out to Planet X or reaching out to your retailer specifically and seeing if they can do anything about it. Apparently the word has not necessarily gotten back to Planet X about the particular issues with the shoulder joints or the center torso joint. So if you have any issues with those things, make sure you reach out and let them know in at least a nice way, as hard as it is to deal with a broken toy. Mine is not broken as of this recording. I think this recording, I'm about to review it, and I am 100% terrified that it will break, even though, as you'll see later in the video where I have added in an extra part, that, hopefully I've done enough to deal with the issue ahead of time and will provide some security in this review. But let's go ahead and go. What's going on, guys? So today on this Shoky third-party Transformers review, we're going to be taking a look at the newest offering from Planet X, and it is their PX C04 CACUS. CACUS. I have no idea how you actually say the name.
CACUS.
But it's Grimlock. It's their IDW Grimlock, and it came out a little while ago. Many other people have reviewed it, of course. I did pick it up around about Christmas time, and just did not get around to reviewing it till now. So that sucks. Woe is me on getting any views. Either way, so there it is. A newer style box, not with the other thing, but because this is an IDW thing, is a little bit different. So nice image of him there in robot mode. This is, of course, the figure itself, not a drawing. And if you come around to that side, you get a really cool shot of him there with his eyes glowing bright. It does not glow bright. And you come around here and you get it in his T-Rex mode and bot mode, which is pretty awesome. And it says PX04 CACUS. It's got all the warnings and stuff like that. Wait, collectible item for ages 16 and up. Hey, I'm right in the middle of that. And it says not suitable. There's no E at the end. For children under 3-year-olds. Good. I don't need to worry about that. Choking hazard, small parts contained. That's probably true. Yeah. Made in China 2021. And you got Facebook and I think WeChat or whatever the hell that's called. And if you come around to this side, you get a really cool shot of his T-Rex mode as well. And nothing on the bottom. Warnings on top. Say warnings, name on top. That's it for the box, which, as usual, is swelling a little bit. Because that's what it do. Now, of course, in the box, you do get the instruction sheet, which also seems to be a tiny poster, which is interesting in and of itself. Instruction sheet is fairly short, given the actual amount of work that goes into transforming him. And as usual, they're helpful, but not entirely good. And that seems to be Planet X's thing. Now, the only thing that's honestly wonky about it is that your figure itself is not necessarily going to cooperate with what you're trying to do. Especially when it comes to the legs and the shoulders. Those are going to be things that, well, you'll see. But, here we go. It's just the thing. And yes, I did do an out-the-box for this, for the channel members. If you're not a channel member, well, you're not seeing these things. You would have seen, quite a while ago, my initial thoughts in playing around with this guy. Also, you get his character card, which is done on a nice plastic credit card. It looks fantastic. Come to the back, got a nice shot there. He's got strength, intelligence, speed, endurance, rank, courage, fire blast, skill. Very nice. Very nicely done. Also in the bag, if you're remotely interested, he does come with red hands, which I guess is from a particular comics. He comes with black hands in already on the figure. So set these aside, and whenever we get around to it, maybe I'll see what it actually takes to swap them out. The instructions is slightly vague on how to actually do that. I'll take a look at it once we actually get there. And here he is in his glorious big-ass T-Rex mode. And when I say big, I mean, this is one of the largest Transformers I've gotten in a while that's not a combiner or city bot. And I think technically speaking, outside of the norm for Planet X, he is actually MP scale. And to give you an idea of just how big he is, here's Planet X's normal Grimlock, or Fall of Cybertron Grimlock. Mind you, this is the Hephaestus, so the Fire Blast version, or whatever you want to call it. That's a significant change. I mean, that's a really big bot. I mean, technically, if you really wanted to, he could ride him. I mean, it's kind of absurd. It's taller and longer and bigger in every possible dimension. It's a bit crazy. So I'm just going to set this off to the side. And there he is with Wally. Mind you, I do have him kind of way out here to fit on screen. So there he is next to Wally, who barely comes up past his sort of bent ankle. And compared to the Little Bitty Prime we just looked at, you know, really damn big bot. So now how do I look at this? Because this is going to be a difficult one. Big bots are really hard to do without going crazy. So the entire figure is painted in glorious metallic silvers and gunmetals and titanium colors, where his armor, you know, you can see the differences here on the edges and the inset pieces, and then along here, and then all along up here. Molded detail everywhere, yellow translucent over silver. Really beautiful gold paint on top of silver paint there. A little bit of red here in the ankle bit. His feet all painted up silver. One problem that arises from these is that he has no kind of heel spur, and that really actually will affect him. I'll show you in a bit. But just the fact that they mix up different colors is amazing, and some of the finishes are a little bit different. So like a heavier metallic versus a really smooth silver. Like back here on the tail, look how reflective that is. And by the way, look at this. This is an extremely posable tail. These are a bunch of U-joints. So it can go up, it can go down, it can go side to side. That is a hell of a thing to create. Technically speaking, this whole section can move just a little bit. By the way, die cast right there. Die cast right here. And a little bit more, I think, later on. Now let's look at this ridiculous head sculpt. Looks crazy there. I need to figure out where our light goes. Here we go. Pull that back. Really nice red translucent eyes. Darker inset part there, which is actually a different color. Nice little cheek part here. His jaw can open up, and he does have this crazy posable metal tongue inside, along with all kinds of nice molded detail underneath. Really do appreciate that. A nice fire blast effect would definitely not go amiss. His head also has a good amount of articulation. You got a lot of back and forth back here, along with up and down. And then the head itself has a whole lot of movement due to transformation. He even gets a little bit of confused dinosaur look, which is badass. And then if you need to kind of move these cheeks around just for clearance sake, you can. I actually thought that his eyebrows moved, but apparently not. But that would be ultimate in posability. Get this beautiful golden neck down here, and all this gold detail down here, which we'll see more obviously in robot mode, but it does look good. Blatant red piece right there. Didn't bother to hide. His front arms, I guess this would be his only arms, his little itty bitty T-Rex arms are just ball joint mounted. Got a little bit of a cut out there. Can move up and down. No swivel, though that sucks. It does have an elbow joint right here. Big pointy elbow. He's got 2 big T-Rex fingers here that are individually articulated down here, and then the blade finger itself also articulated, which is pretty cool. But not having the ability to turn them does suck. Speaking of turning them, we do have our legs. Now you can rotate pretty nicely. Now the thing is, as I'm doing that, I have no idea what's turning, because as we'll discuss, there's 2 main joints to each shoulder slash leg, and those are the main problematic points. As pointed out before, this is a nice big hunk of die cast, but the legs can move. Once again, okay, so I can feel the opposite joint moving. It's supposed to be moving. And yep, I definitely moved that because now it's down lower. You get a little bit of in and out as well. Hold on. It should be all the way back like that, and then yeah, see, this is the problem. So the inner joint is now moving when the outer joint is supposed to be, which is actually the opposite problem that it normally has, where one doesn't want to move. But if you kind of take it in all the way, you can cheat it and keep it locked in place and get your leg back around where it needs to go. Man, that is all finagled. You do get thigh rotation, which is not perfect because it does get hung up, but it does work. And you do get knee bend, ratcheted, double jointed knee. Gets pretty ugly there, but you know, that's just however you want to get her done. You get the little kind of dew claw back here, which is a little bit loose, and you can finagle it however you want to. Though for the most part, because of it being hinged to the hand cover, it does tend to move around a bit. But the inner hinge is a lot tighter than the back, so do with that as you please. And definitely getting some rubbage there on the inside of the elbow. The feet themselves are hinged down here at the ankle, just friction. And then you do get side to side ankle rocker, which is nice. And each toe, at least on the front of the claw, is individually articulated, and the back is on solid piece. Getting him nice and balanced to stand is a challenge in and of itself. Basically, it's like find a spot where the knee wants to stay proper and leave it. And don't touch it again. If you can get into balance properly as a T-Rex, then you're good. I mean, basically, you want to have the center mass directly over the legs. He can probably do a more proper old school G1 Grimlock stance, but it's not necessarily recommended. But he could, you know, you just got to finagle the legs and basically lean on the tail, as it were. So now this particular one does have a fun light up gimmick, which, you know, they've done before in the past, but usually it's with an independent little LED situation that you know, press and put into a situation. But here it's a tiny little dealie that goes inside the head, and then you use his sword with this little magnet here and hope as you activate. Okay, so it did come on. Problem is my lights are so bright you're not going to see it, so hold on. Let me turn off. Yeah, it's got a little dim. Hold on. Yeah, so the LEDs work, just my camera setup does not really allow for it. And if you want to, in theory, just running it across the forehead should turn it off or on. I can't tell. Now, in theory, it should turn it off, but it doesn't appear to be doing so. No, definitely not off. So on mine, it does this. Now, it'll probably do it on yours too. If you have to, you pull out the dome and it's this little assembly right here. Stay. So that's the actual thing, and it does have a magnetic switch. You just kind of have to do that. Just be careful when you do that. The other thing is, this is a CR927 battery. I just happen to have some available, so if you don't, well, find some. Pretty cheap on Amazon. Pretty easily available. And it does have to be, it has to be battery up inside the head, or else the light switch won't work. Now, obviously something changed a little bit, because when I first got him, I could not turn it on unless I stuck the magnet like way up inside the back of the head. You know, that's the scary part. Well, actually, the scary part's coming up. That would be transformation. And I gotta like take a stiff drink before I do this part. Primus, be with me. Let's try this thing. Okay, so the main problem we're going to have here is space. What we're going to do with it as we can. I'm going to need a spudger before I get started. Okay, so we need to come back here, and these two panels are where you got to start. They're kind of double hinged and then attached to each other. There we go. Pops that out, and then it pops out from right there at the same time. Same thing on this side. That was just barely even hanging on over there. And kind of collapse it like so. This is not going to be easy. I might have to go wide angle for this. I don't know if I can. It doesn't look like I can. Okay. So, now this guy right here, it's all sort of tabbed in there. And, okay, we have to untab these guys on the side here. Right here, if you see it, it's right there behind the knee, or leg, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so that will now free the front and the back, and well, we'll be able to make some room here. So this can come up. You need clearance, so just go ahead and get these up and out of your way. This little post thingy is fine. Just keep it out of the way. Go ahead and untab that. You see those two slots there, they go into corresponding tabs back here. So we need to start down at the tip of the tail and go ahead and split all of that. I guess technically I can get them to stand. There's going to be a point where it's going to almost be like a modern art piece trying to finagle this thing. Splitting tail, splitting the tail. Okay, kind of get this separated as well. There we go. All right. So if that's up and out of the way, we can fold these in. You see there's corresponding posts and tabs and tabs and posts. So we want to rotate here, and that will tab in like so, and then you got a post there and a hole there that will align over here. So that's pretty much that. Do the same thing over here. Rotate in, tabs, post, and just sort of live with that as it is. Okay. So one of the most difficult parts of this transformation is essentially just getting bits and pieces around the legs, or the arms, technically speaking. So these bad boys are going to always be in the way. And I don't remember exactly where I need them to be at this exact moment. Up and out the way, realistically. This part here comes down on a double hinge, and there's a big fat tab that will go into the side of the arm there, and it will stay in there effectively. Okay, tuck down, do that, and we're going to want movement, so kind of spread that out a little bit. I know that at different points in time we're going to want to rotate these out of the way, so we'll just leave it for that. Sometimes it's like straight forward, sometimes it's straight down. Either way, out of the way is the biggest way to go, and right now I think we're about as good as we can get. So for the legs, we have to do some plastic origami, and this is the worst part of this entire transformation, in my opinion. So you've got a knee joint that's right here that's going to end up unfolding and then coming apart. Well, in the figurative sense. Got to unfold these guys. This is actually to hold your knee in place in robot mode. And you see these doors already opening. So that actually has to come out and around everything. So get that up and out of the way. You know, a little bit of clearance here. All right, so I forget which way this needs to go. Okay, let's see here. Tilt that in. Some of this is not going to be so much as instruction as you guys just watch what happens. So I need to actually really do that. So you can see the leg here. And which way goes which? I gotta remember. I think we need to rotate this up like so, and then that will free up the part that can actually move. Which is this entire section here. So let's see if we can get we need the dino leg to get up and out of the way. I don't know if I can get it. We'll see here. Hold on. Okay, so stay there for now. Okay, so rotate thigh. So what's happening here is I'm moving the knee, which is actually good, because that will give me a lot more clearance. Okay, so where is my shoulder joint? There we go. Forward. That's where I want that. Okay, so we have a rocker panel here that wants to all flow out. There we go. And you see here, this is all part of the knee. Flip that out, and we'll get this guy facing forward, and then all of this will come down here. So that's realistically the hardest part of the leg transformation. So we need to come in here, free up all of these things, expand that. Need to flip that open, just pinch a finger. Need to flip this out and out, so that's completely out of the way. The tail needs to come up, over, and in, like so. Go ahead and straighten this up, and then utilize that other hinge again. All right, I think, let me see here. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so this needs to come up, and this will close in, pegging in kind of right there. Straighten this up, tab that guy into there. That was that, in case you're wondering, if you didn't see. Like so. And then down here, this part needs to tab on like that. And this will come in and tab into there. And then you flip out a toe and then tuck that back in. And we've got a leg. We have a leg. And I'm telling you guys, that's the easy part. One thing that does make this a little easier is that the torso does move a bit to actually give you some room. Let's see if I can get this guy up and out the way. Okay, so now that one's up and out of the way. It's facing the wrong way, but it still works. Untab this, open it up. And yeah, you're gonna scratch the paint. Unfortunately, there's no good way around that I've found. I went the wrong way with that. Hold on. Push this in and out. Will that give me my freedom? There we go. All right. So that will give me the ability to yoink on this to a degree. Once you get that up and out, it's pretty easy to finagle past everything, especially once the torso flips in half. Then we can straighten up the knee, which, by the way, this is the hardest part about getting it back into dyno mode. All right. Is that about right? I think so. Looks good. All right, so once again, we can see the interior of the leg. I want to unfold this. Just leave it down. Unfold that. We're good here. Nope. Untab or unfold. Unfold. Slide that in. It'll pivot here to straighten itself out. I think that's supposed to, but it's not. So let's tab this knee in, and maybe that'll make the difference. Okay, come on. There we go. Okay. Tab nothing in. Okay, so hold on. Flip. Toe out. Foot in. Flattened out a little bit. Close this up, and then there's tabs galore to align it over there. And then, so you can see it's not right. Come on. There we go. So tabbed in there, tabbed in there, tabbed in there. This knee, up, there it goes. Fix that. Toe's already good. Son of a bitch. We forgot the tail. So we're going old school transformation, leave the tail out. So, well, here's an unexpected bonus. But you guys didn't tell me I fucked that up. I'm sure some of you in the comments were. Okay, so untab that again. Flip that back. Up, round. Like that. And then flip it in. Turn it around. Okay. Come on, guy. I know you're better than that. What is this bullshit? Like, this was never a problem before. Like, that was never an issue. Okay. So I need to squeeze that better. Okay. Now let's line it all back up. Close it up. Oop, didn't line it back up. Does seem to want to really have to do it that way, doesn't it? Come on, door panel. You tab in there and there and there and there, and hey, we've got legs. And I refer to you that that's the easy part. Okay. I've just got a little bit of backward lean happening here. Come on. Okay. So this is going to be the scary part. And yeah, the whiskey's kicking in. That was a shot of whiskey. I don't know if y'all believe me, but that was a shot of whiskey. Okay. So. Just kind of finagle these butt skirts. They're just going to hang out down here. And this just needs to come straight down. So between what has to happen up here and what has to happen with the arms, it's a whole lot of pushing stuff past other stuff in a way that's very uncomfortable. So here's something that's a really interesting bit of transformation. So this whole gold chest piece, push in right here. And in theory, yep, it pops it out of right here. Really cool thing that does. Okay, so now I've got the arms facing in a way I don't like, so I'm going to move these down and out of the way. Might actually be useful. So now we can split the so-called wings. Whoa, and then this is where everything gets a bit floppy. It's just kind of part of the deal, guys. Okay, so I'm trying to get this open. There we go. Alright, so these gold pieces, just kind of straighten them back up. And then these hinge pieces here, well, just do what you got to do to get them to tab up inside there. It's not a solid tab, it's just sort of suggesting that it should stay out of the way. Okay. And then do what you can to just keep it from breaking anything. Okay, so there's that. And come back to the T-Rex arms and just sort of finagle them however you like. There's no good solution, it's just whatever looks good to you. You know, keep them back like that if you have to. Okay, so little teapot area here. We can fix the head ever so slightly. Where am I at now? Okay, so red thingy, flip it inside the head. Go ahead and tilt up the dino head. You got 4 big posts, 4 big holes, and you're just gonna plug that sucker right in there. As good as it's gonna get. Pull the wings back about as far as you can. It's not gonna be perfect, but it'll get out of the way. And actually, that is not plugged in proper. Okay, that does not. Huh, that's interesting. It doesn't line up properly. Didn't notice that. Back skirt will fold up and kind of sit right there. It should be good enough, honestly. The dino head, there's 2 tabs right there that will line up with this slot in the back of the neck. Just kind of tab that in best you can. Alright, and it looks like we're almost there, but this is literally the troublesome part. Alright, so the way we see the shoulders here, they're facing forward, technically speaking. So there's an inner joint that goes all the way to the top and then goes all the way to the bottom. It only rotates forward and back. And then there's the actual shoulder joint, which is what you can see right here. Now, this is... that's 100% straight up and down, right there. But what you'll... oh yeah, that's right. This is the decent shoulder for me. So there's that. Okay. And then we want to rotate the bicep. Basic Grimlock transformation, right? Fold the dino foot back. Flip this up fix your dew claw, just push it all the way back. And then now what we have is a dyno hand in trouble. So one thing I've discovered, which is fun, is you have an easy shot right into it in there. So if you can get a spudger in there, you can shove the dyno hand out, because otherwise it's not easily accessible. Okay, I did this before. How did I do it? I swear to God, I did this before. How was it not? All right, did I come in from under here? Oh, yeah, that's what I did. I could have sworn I did it from over there, but yeah, you can shove it from, whoa, shit, underneath here, because honestly, you can't get the hands out just by pulling on them. Now, in theory, when you rotate the dyno feet back, it should automatically flip them out, but it does not. All right, so that's that hand and arm essentially done, and then you can just play with your dew claw there, however you want. So here's the part I've been terrified of since the beginning of this. This is my troublesome shoulder. That was always the easy one to work. This is the hard one. So I need it to come up, and then I also need it, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so here's the thing. It's rotating easily on the inside. What it's not doing is rotating easy on the outside. Okay, so I'm going to try to hold it steady with one hand. Nope, can't do it. Okay, so the other option is, actually this is a good way to see if I can get the camera in there. You see the track there. If I can. So what I'm currently doing is applying upward and downward twisting motions. So right there, it is at the top of its spot. And the problem is that it's still tight enough to not want to let the arm rotate properly. I think that did it though. I think that was good. Okay. So get a little bit of clearance this time, then. Oh, yeah, by the way, I guess it would be better if you didn't put the shoulder pads down before rotating the bicep. That's kind of stupid. That was my bad. And also, this one has gotten really gnarly over the last couple of weeks now I'm looking at it. So flip that up. So you kind of push this up and around once again. The hand does not come out if you can't push it proper. Push it out that way, at least to a point that you can get the hand. Flip the dyno foot all the way back like you do. Get the toes clear so you're not dragging on there. Hand out, hand rotate. Little wrist claw back. Get your thumb up where you like it. And I think we are actually done. And I'm scared, but he made it. Good boy, Grimlock. And once again, we can just organize the little dyno arms while we're at it, and then that's good. All right, there we got it. We got Grimlock in robot mode. Oh, I forgot his head was tilted back a little bit. And good God, this guy is stupid tall. Like, I don't have any normal Masterpiece Transformers. Realistically, not, at least not anymore. I used to. So I don't. You know what? I have one. Give me a second. Let me get this guy in a decent A stance before I start doing that. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry. So I've only got one more Masterpiece thing at the moment. I mean, I'm gonna have for a while, but on hand, I have new train bot from Moon Studios. And, you know, this is meant to be a combiner part, so he's already a big bot. He's already at least Optimus sized, or at least close to it. So this Grimmy boy is friggin' tall. Like here, if I drop the camera down and like look straight on, like you can see, that's just big. Like, there's Wally. He's fracking huge. So, train bot out of the way, at least temporarily. Bring him over here and bring in the previous Planet X Grimlock offering. And you can see, yeah, these were always meant to be a chug scale, for those who are obviously aware of what chug is. So they're kind of a chug scale. They were never meant to be masterpiece by any means. This guy, definitely a masterpiece bot. Both in engineering and the fact that it's just sized like one. I've seen a comparison with Takara or even other masterpiece Grimlocks, and it's pretty much on par size-wise. Also, the fact that this one right here clearly no longer has any kind of tension left in his hips. I thought he had ratchets, but his hips are insanely loose. He almost fell over just me picking him up. So that's right, he's got ratchets in the knees, but not in the hips. But obviously, very different aesthetic, being Fall of Cybertron and IDW. But still, crazy. And something about this particular Grimmy, I have no idea where I could put a Autobot faction logo. So, I mean, normally you would expect one here in the chest, at least potentially underneath the cool translucent part. But I think IDW Grimlock has one on his Dinobot, or his Dino forehead kind of area, I think is realistically like somewhere in here, but I don't even think could match that. So this might be one of my only third-party bots that I can't put anything on. So let's look at this head sculpt, and it is crazy looking. Definitely got resting bitch face. It's got some really nicely painted red eyes. Too bad they didn't give it a light up gimmick. His ears do move. I think that's technically for transformation or storage. I'm seeing a lot of different shades, but I think that's just the light hitting it. His head is basically just black. So it's on a ball joint, so you get a good amount of movement. And then the neck joint itself moves a bit, so that's good. You do get a great big gold painted plate here with some silver piping, which looks good. Obviously the bat emblem on his chest, all gold painted, even gold painted underneath the translucent, which is pretty cool. Once again, not an actual spot for a logo or two. And that's usually something they're good about. They're usually good about molding in a spot for a logo to go. This really does look like this paint wants to peel. I'm getting worried about that. It's kind of sketchy because this side looks fine. Obviously, all the aesthetics are the same, though, of course, now we do have new articulation in the shoulders. So that can come up. You do get that when they're legs, but it's not as useful. Also, you can really tag that down. I just had it out a bit more. And I'll be adding in extra clips of videos at the end talking about certain things about these shoulders and stuff like that. Okay, we do get a little bit of teapot action, which is cool. A lot of extra motion there. We do get waist swivel that's tight but works. And you get incredibly loose, floppy ab crunch, which that seems weird. Like, honestly, that would have been an interesting place for a ratchet, but it would have been a good spot for a ratchet. We get front skirts that can flip up. You got side skirts that can flip up. We've already seen the butt skirts, which are absurd in and of their own right. So let's see what we can do with these legs real quick. They're heavy ratchets on the forward in the back, so he can kick all the way up, which is crazy. Scary. It's got lighter ratchets going out. You can do a full Jean-Claude. For the most part, the arm is actually just in the way, so that's just, Yeah, so we got Jean-Claude Van Grimlock. It's just, you know, for a bot this size, that's impressive articulation, impressive range of motion. Thigh rotation, which you saw during transformation, you got a nice silver coil in the thigh. You get to see the knee joint red bit painted there. This is all painted. The knee here, so this is an interesting problem with the knee. So if you just try to move the knee, well, that happens. And that's not technically the knee joint. He actually only has the single knee joint, which is that big chunky ratcheted knee joint. That's what you're supposed to use to move the knee around. And they will be really, really, really tight out of the box. No way if and or but around it. I don't know what I just said, but you know what I was trying to say. All right, and then, of course, the legs are just the back end of the dinosaur. And you do get the toes that flip out, big gold toesies. They are on a kind of universal swivel kind of joint there. But here's something I don't see a lot of people catching. He actually has heel spurs that move as well. So you're not just tilting the front, you can tilt the back. Technically speaking, you can utilize these two, I think. Where did my budgie go? My spudgerino. Technically speaking, yeah, you can utilize this to help you as well, to really help get them kind of stabilized. The only thing that sucks is there's no pivot in the gold thing, so the toe looks stupid. Like they're always pointing exactly forward, unless you kind of give them a little bit of a offset stance like that. So once again, there's the heel spur thingy, and you can utilize the bottom of the foot to help you out. Even the front section here will move. So, you know, it's not as useful, I don't think, as the back section. The back section seems to be more useful, but that gives them a good solid base to work from. Obviously, all the articulation in the upper body is the same as they were as legs, except now we have the hands, which, once again, I still don't know. Okay, so the hands are just held on by a C-clip right there, so if you wanted to swap out for the thing... Oh, backpack came unplugged. Didn't even notice. You plug in there. Be good. Okay. So, here's the interesting part with the hands. You do have a tab there that will help his rifle. So, classic Grimlock rifle. Looks good. Looks like it's mostly black with a finish, like a metallic finish, and then red paint on it. Looks fine, but I'm pretty sure it is just black paint. I don't think the whole thing... Or, I'm sorry, black plastic with a... kind of metallic clear wash over it, or pearl wash, because like the only thing, like you can tell here, his hands are not painted, but the back of his hands are. But like I said, he's got a thing there that will align with the groove on the gun. Go ahead and curl the fingers in, make my life easy. And you can pull his fingers in like so, and you can hold his big old grimy rifle and just sort of finagle that however you want, like so. You know, utilize the wrist or the joint there. And let's not forget his Grimlock sword, which looks good. Gigantic translucent piece here that's perfect. Like, so this is all one piece, and then it comes down inside the red handle, which, once again, red plastic with kind of a clear metallic over it with gold metallic there. Once again, you get your magnet there. Whoop-de-doo. But you do get slots on the handle as well, and you can put that in his other hand like so. You should hold that technically a little bit better because it's a much longer grip on it, and figure out how you want your thumb to hold it, and there you go. You got Grimmy all nice and ready for a fight. Let me put him in a good pose here. Hey guys, I wanted to include this as part of the Grimlock review. So just in case this is filmed beforehand, I've actually taken my Grimlock apart, which not the easiest thing in the world, but not too difficult, just patience and a little bit of prying. I do have his whole leg problem that is way too tight. From what I can tell, I can't tell how they did this. So the best thing I can see is that this right here, so this whole thing must have an embedded rod that comes up and into here and is capped off there, probably a peened over bit there on the plastic, and that's the spring in there that's getting it, and the spring is significantly too tight. It's not about greasing the joint. Now, unfortunately, there's no way to disassemble this to, say, loosen it. I don't even know if there's a good way to grease it, and like even in this form where I can directly apply the pressure I need to this joint to get it to rotate is actually harder. Now, I guess because I have less leverage due to the fact I don't have any arms. And by the way, there's the terrifying look at how Grimlock comes apart. His chest is surprisingly empty. The fact that they didn't bother to light up his chest at all was pretty weird. So, I think if you have this breakage problem, aside from Planet X just completely replacing your Grimlock, you would have to disassemble the chest, like I've done, and you'd have to disassemble the leg, and this entire leg assembly would have to come separate. Because you can't even break this apart. This is held together by some kind of melting magic glue thing. And then even this joint, which is actually the looser of the two, is assembled the same way. So there's no good way to disassemble this joint to make it looser. There's no good way. I guess the only way I could probably do it is if I could push down on this hard enough, I think, to compress that spring, but I think it's probably already really, really compressed. And then try to grease the gears themselves, but as you can see, they're already like that. But biggest problem, I think, is not necessarily this joint snapping, it's this joint snapping because it's the only way you put torque on it. So, assuming that when I've done the review I haven't broken my Grimlock entirely, this will be why. But I'm going to try to do something about it. I don't know what exactly. So, yeah. Okay, so after finagling the joints quite a bit, in fact, using two pairs of gentle pliers, rotating the one that was really stiff both ways quite a few times with a decent amount of torque, but not enough, it does feel a lot looser. Like the joint needed to be exercised to really get loose, even to the point that, now that I've reassembled him, it was significantly easier to turn it even without having an extra body or leg or whatever to torque it. So just using my hands to reorganize, because I had to remember which way the joints go for leg mode here, or yeah, for leg mode instead of arm mode. It feels better. So there's that. So a tiny bit of advice for anybody who has a Grimlock like this. If you get it and any of the joints are really stiff, and you are somewhat inclined. Now this is just a small, like little bitty screwdriver. This came with my Ecto 1. But use this, if you have a small enough screwdriver that you can get to the 4 screws that are in the back. So when he's in robot mode, flip up the dyno head and backpack and stuff. There's 4 screws that hold him in the back. And very gently, with a spudger or something like that, pull the backpack out, like just straight out. It takes a little bit of working. It's in there pretty good. And then that gives you access to be able to slide the whole top part of the chest where the gold is and the head. Slide that out, and then you have access to both arms. I know it's crazy to think to do that with a toy, but given that when he's in either bot mode or dyno mode, there's no good way to directly apply pressure to the joint you want without torquing the opposite joint. So if you have one that's super stiff like that, I would definitely suggest try to do that where you can access the joint directly. I know it's crazy to tear apart a brand new transformer, but if it keeps you from completely destroying it and having to replace it, is what's worse, removing 4 screws and working a joint until it's loose, or breaking it off the 3rd time you transform it? I feel a lot more comfortable right now, and mind you, this is before I do the review for him. I feel a lot more comfortable doing that than before. So there's that. So hopefully this little bit of advice tacked into the review will help. So back to wherever I am in the review. I have no idea. Alright, so there we go. Decent pose. The slick table's gonna make it a little difficult. So a little knee bend. Using teapot and the arms. By the way, I forgot there is a back and forth here. Butterfly is the word I'm looking for. It was escaping my mind. Oh, let's see. We can go outward with it a little bit. Yeah, try to get that there. A little straighten out. There we go. That was like a sheriff or something. Either way, very, 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 very cool, big ass version of IDW Grimlock. I don't know, personally, I don't know if there's any other versions of this figure anywhere or this character. But this one is definitely something epic. And for the price at just over $200 or right at $200, depending on where you get it, this is a whole lot of Grimlock for that price. I mean, you get die cast in several places. The entire thing is essentially painted except for where it really doesn't need to be. Transformation, it's good, but troublesome. But realistically, it's clearances. It's like, how do you get the panels on the leg around the leg to get it into places? How do you get the arms in exactly the right spot so that you can finagle the wings to fold up? And that's the other thing, is like when the wings are back, that's as much clearance as you get without the backpack popping out. The waist is super tight, so be very careful with that. In theory, when I took it all apart for the other chunk of the video that I showed you already, when I took it apart, I could have tried to maybe loosen the waist. I don't know if that was actually an option or not. I will say, just kind of doubling down on that particular thing, the best way, if you get this Grimlock and he's not already broken in box, which apparently is a thing that is happening, where some of the joints, especially up here where it breaks normally, somehow are coming broken in box. Planet X themselves was blaming it on the packaging being wonky and it being dropped and then just causing shock and breaking it. I mean, if your packaging is that flexible, you have a problem. But if your figure is that rigid, you also have a problem. And that's usually where you get the breaks. As you can see, I did get it to move mostly in the ways I wanted it to, because I did take it apart and I did really, really work both shoulder joints. Now, the knees are the things that really need to be worked out, especially for transforming back to T-Rex mode, which I'm hesitant to do right now. This is kind of a, like, no, maybe I'll leave him in bot mode for a while. He's been in T-Rex mode for a bit. He's just really good. Now, here's the kicker. Apparently, Planet X and their infinite wisdom, instead of giving us the rest of the Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron figures, they're giving us more IDW Dinobots. And the next one they have in the lineup is Sludge. You see how big Grimlock is. How big do you think Slug's going to be? Or Sludge, I should say, sorry. So, yeah, that's going to be a thing. And I know certain people are not really happy about that because they want a scavenger's crew, not more Dinobots. But the way I look at it, to have an MP-sized or MP-scale Dinobot team from IDW is probably not a terrible thing. Now, I have no ties to this character in this form. I just think it looks badass. And then to find out that we're getting more of them, I'm on board. I really am. Like I said before, if you do experience breakages, reach out to your retailer, reach out to Planet X directly if your retailer can't help you out that much. And for the most part, if it's a shoulder break, it's not that hard to get to replace. I think the harder part is probably disassembling the shoulder itself over here if you're going to have to replace that part. Because this entire part through here, all of this into the inside and all that is all one piece. Are all held together essentially like one piece, I should say. You cannot disassemble it, unfortunately. So it would take a lot to really fix it. But overall, this version of Grimlock from Planet X is just definitely the best thing they've ever done. And I've looked at pretty much everything they've done, outside of the re-released Dinobots in metallic. You know, oh, and their other IDW offerings. Those are the other things I have not done. I have not done their Star Saber or their Deathsaurus. But it would be interesting because I don't think those are MP scale, but this guy is. So, but that's it, guys. I will catch you on the next one. I will do a Taro video for it at some point. I don't think I'll do it, at least speaking in real time, today, because I kind of want it to chill for a bit. Like, I don't feel like maxing out the joints again. Plus, he just looks good in this mode for a while. You know, he'll probably be okay to stick around. But until then, make sure you check that out on secondary channel whenever it does drop, because it'll be worth a watch to see how to get this guy back into Dino mode, which I do think I prefer. But I'll see you guys then. Remember, as always, him Grimlock, King.